Hello, and thanks for coming. Welcome. My name is Robert Novak from North Bennington, and I'm a part of Bennington for a Free Palestine. And we're putting on this talk in conjunction with Pangea. With Know Lummy and Rick have been very good to allow us to lose this space, so I want to make sure that you thank them as you go out the door. And of course I want to thank Rafiq for giving his time. There's some places a sign-up sheet if you want to be put on the email list for Bennington for Free Palestine. And over to my left here, if you want to give some donations, there's a donation pot there.
And if you don't have cash on hand, there is a Venmo code that you can scan, and that will also go into the donation, and the proceeds of everything that you have purchased tonight will go towards that as well.
Well, we go to honor. Yes. Thank you. It's customary for somebody in my position to introduce the guest, and so some weeks ago I asked Wafiq for a bio, and he sent me Wafiq Faour, his name, Palestinian refugee, and that's it. So I don't have much to say. He's going to speak for himself. We've talked a little about the forum. To start, he's going to speak to why he calls himself a Palestinian refugee. Then we're going to talk a little, I'll ask him some questions about the Ben and Jerry's campaign, which the organization that Wafiq and I belong to, Vermonters for Justice in Palestine. They spent 10 years, and it's, I would say, Wafiq, I would say this is a success story. Though it's still in the courts, I think there's some, it's still in the courts. And then Wafiq will speak about what he's up to currently, how he sees things. So first, Wafiq, just maybe let the audience know who you are and your background.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your beautiful present and for your support. We are living on a special time. Thank you for the cafe. Thank you for the artists. You are making us feeling home. My name is Wafiq Faour. I born in refugee camp in Lebanon. My father and my mother have been kicked out of Palestine in 1948, found refuge in Lebanon. I am one out of 8 children, 2 sisters, 6 brothers. Still, many of my brothers still living in the refugee camp. I don't want to talk too much about the refugee camp and how do you live, but I want to give you a little idea. Imagine I born 1960, it means 12 years after the Palestinian Nakba. I didn't see running water or electricity until I was 9 years old. Came here as student in Northeastern University. And mentioning the refugees, you have to understand who are the Palestinians and where are they? You have in 1948, the Palestinian kicked out. They are refugees now in Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, part of Iraq, and some in Egypt. And many of them are refugees in the West Bank, and 70% of Gaza are Palestinian refugees. I will take my attention, I just met a Palestinian from Gaza who left 7 months after the war started. And I will consider her, this is the first day I meet her, I will consider her my niece, Maisa. Another refugee, Palestinian refugee from Jordan. And I'm going, Balqis, Wafa, and of course my niece from Libya, Noor. I gained a family today, not from my Palestinian and Libyan family only, you all my family now. So those refugees in West Bank and Gaza, as we see, and many of my relatives, they stayed in Galilee, in Palestine, I'm in contact with them, and now they are 22% of what's so-called Israeli Arabs. If you go to the history of the last 76 years, 77 years, you will discover that Israel, since its creation, they never fought the Palestinians. You don't see it at all. They call 1948 as Israeli-Arab war, so there is no recognition of the Palestinians, it's non-existence. Again in 1967, when they attacked Syria, Jordan, Egypt, it is again Arab-Israeli war. Palestinians are non-existent. 1982, when they went invaded Lebanon, it was Israel PLO war, never Palestinian. And today we are witnessing Israel-Hamas war, as if the Palestinian never existed. There is a reason for that. It's not like they missed it. The reason for it, the moment they will recognize the word Palestine or Palestinian, it will endanger the right of the colonialist project called Israel. This is the only reason. So they don't see us as a human or people. Always they complain about we teach our children hate, but all their history is based on land with no people for people with no land. So we never existed. My grandfather, mother's side, got killed in 1948. Hajj Hussein Faour got killed not because they want to kill anybody they meet. They killed him purposely because he owns a lot of land. And the first law, the new state have been created, the first law called the absentee law. The absentee law is taking over the land when they went to that land and they didn't find the owner. Grandfather, father's side stayed on jail. He was active for 7 years until he lost his sight. My grandmother, father's side, when she went to her house after she hid on the olive groves, she found a sign on the door. It was considered the new Israeli government ownership. So she paid rent to a house she built. Always we're going to ask the other question, what can we do here? What is our responsibility here? How we can go from this point we are living when we are living an on-screen daily genocide, where are we going to go? I will take Robert's questions as he wish, and later we can go for many discussion as we go.
Well, I think that with that introduction, I just thought that maybe you wanted to talk a little about your group, our group, Vermonters for Justice in Palestine, and particularly the Ben and Jerry's campaign. The group, I believe, worked for 10 or 11 years before they saw any results in that. They worked very hard. And if you just spend a few minutes talking about that.
So the last thing I said, what can we do over here? Organize. We did that over 24 years ago. We organized Vermonters for Justice in Palestine. Majority of our work then was lecture, films, connecting with other organizations, because the core belief of us Palestinians that we will never be free until everybody is free. So our connection with other groups, from Black Lives Matters to Migrant Justice, to NAACP, to all these organizations that calling for racial equity, for racial justice, for social equity and justice, we are part of it. How we started Ben and Jerry, because we tried many times, if then, to call people to come to the lectures, we see the same faces again and again, you know. The organization, civil organization in Palestine called us to declare BDS, stands for boycott, divestment, and sanctions. We adopted that. When we thought about any company we can boycott or ask for divest, we worked in two. One is Ben and Jerry, because it's local. I can stop somebody on the street talking to them about something Vermonter very much. It is, I think, the first or second location visited by an outside of the state. Ben and Jerry. The second one, our students started divestment in UVM, University of Vermont. University of Vermont, they put a veto immediately on divesting, taking the money, not investing on Israeli, mainly military organization or military companies. Ben and Jerry, it took us 13 years. We were asking them that benefiting and profiting from the occupation, it is harmful, and it's against the social mission of Ben and Jerry itself, and against their themes of peace and love and all that. It took years until they sat down with us and they tried not to follow up, until their board came after 13 years of pressure and working on the street, signing people up, sending letters, doing all the work supposed to be done, that Ben and Jerry stopped working with the company in Israel, took all their investment, and Unilever, the mother company, sold the Ben and Jerry in Israel to its lessee in condition not to be called Ben and Jerry anymore. This is for Ben and Jerry campaign. What we are doing now, and this is why I am here, and I said, and thank you again for the invite. Thank you. We cannot change the status quo here, and we cannot change anything unless we do a long-term campaign. But we are finding resistance in mainstream media to report what's going on over there. It's daily slaughter, we don't see it over there. We don't see it in mainstream media. If we don't have our smartphone, we wouldn't learn about it. And we couldn't convince our federal leaders, senator, Congress members to take a serious position to stop this genocide and this slaughter. And ironically, if we go to local councils, we find resistance. Why? Because the officials, they believe that they can treat our public here in the United States as a parent, like they can decide in our behalf on any issue. And they think that we cannot question Palestine-Israel to the public. So we went around it. Us in Vermont for Justice in Palestine and Vermont Coalition for Palestinian Liberation, we introduced apartheid-free community, copying and pasting everything that the struggle of South Africa put forward, and we're going to put it in the front of the American public. If you go here on North Bennington to your council, ask them to sign on that we want North Bennington to be an apartheid-free community, I can bet you now they may reject it. And for that, I ask you to go within the Vermont Charter that collect 5% of registered voters of this town and force the council to adopt it and put it on the vote on March 3rd. A lot of people, they think, no, the public are against the Palestinians, etc. If we do little education, we discover American peoples are decent people. If you educate them, they will stand with you. When they see the truth, they will stand with you. And now there is a wave of a change. I thought, and I want to take the temperature of the room, of the language of our apartheid-free community. By the way, the language, I'm going to read it to you, have been written and created by American Friends Service Committee. It's not by us. Hundreds of churches, hundreds of organizations signed to it. Not political. And it's not left or right. Here in Vermont, the Episcopal Church, on its conference, signed to it. So I want to see if you agree with the language or not. Can we have this campaign here or not? So please let me know. If we put it on North Bennington, it will be: we affirm our commitment to freedom, justice, and equality for the Palestinian people and all people. Fair?
Yes.
We oppose all forms of racism, bigotry, discrimination, and oppression. Fair? We declare ourselves an apartheid-free community, and to that end, we pledge, it's just a pledge, not more, not less. We pledge to join others in working to end all support to Israel's apartheid regime settler colonialism and military occupation. A lot of people, they going to say, but Israel is a democratic state. It's the only democratic state in the Middle East. I might agree on part of it. It's democratic only for the Jewish residents and citizens of Israel. Where the apartheid existed according to human rights organization Beit Salem or Human Rights Watch or Amnesty International, you will see it on every area. On justice area, on schools and education and spending, on housing. Do you know that Israel destroyed 524 village towns in Palestine in 1948? Since 1948 until today, not one single new village or neighborhood have been built. Since then, when we see thousands of settlements have been built since then, not one single new neighborhood. In healthcare, racism, we see it. In housing, education, and the police treatment. Does it sound familiar? It's here in the United States. We have all that here. The only difference, we cannot call it apartheid here in the United States because the United States have something they call constitution. Everybody's equal until they decide otherwise. Recently, the Palestinians, we lost our freedom of speech and they start arresting our students at the campus. So it depends. In Israel, they don't have constitution. They have sets of laws. Some for the Jews, some for the Arabs. Even the neighborhood they are building on settlements on the West Bank is Jewish-only settlements. The roads to get to these settlements is Jewish-only roads. Is that fair?
No.
Would you accept it here?
No.
How about if I tell you that you are paying for it? You are paying for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you are paying for all the weapons that are killing my people. And you are endangering our life. I'm not playing the victim cards. I'm telling you exactly what's happening now. Our opponents are playing the victim card. They can kill up to 60, 70, and according to Israeli professors in Harvard University, he said hundreds of thousands of people get killed in Gaza because thousands of people are missing. Palestinian children, Palestinian women, Palestinian family, they are not allowed to eat. There is no food, no clean water, no medicine. And the world are watching. You know that it's happening. So when I tell you, do the pledge, apartheid-free community is the least to point to the criminal on this story. We never told our story, by the way. We're not allowed in the United States and the West. Now the story is telling itself. Americans are waking up. I ask, what do you want to do? Do you have a question?
I wanted to thank you. I just wanted to, I don't know how many people in the audience are familiar with the USS Liberty. It was a ship in 1967 which was attacked.
Can you speak up, please?
Yeah, my voice is going. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the USS Liberty, the ship that was attacked in 1967 by the US, by the Israelis. And 34 people were killed and over 100 injured, and nothing was ever done about it. I compare it to the Pueblo, which was attacked by North Korea, the congressional investigation, and the USS Cole off Yemen, 17 people killed, a big congressional investigation, but of course there's been no investigation to this time about the USS Liberty. I was fortunate enough to know one of the people on the ship who carried shrapnel with him for the rest of his life. And interesting, the rest of the story is that the captain of the ship, McGonigal, he got a Medal of Honor for saving the ship. I mean, not only was it strafed by jets, but it was hit by torpedoes. And McGonigal, the Commodore, he's the only Medal of Honor winner in history that didn't have it bestowed by the president, because Johnson didn't want to bring attention that this was an Israeli attack. So my question to you, I mean, this is of course throughout history. Why do you feel that the United States consistently supports Israel, not only financially, but also in the UN on resolutions? What do you make of that? Why do you think that our government continues to do it?
Creating a state of Israel was, everybody, maybe many of you in the room, they thought that the West, European countries, mainly Great Britain, care about the Jews and they want their safety. This is what's supposed to be. You go to Palestine, Israel, you see the settlers and the people who living there carrying guns left and right, and they are not safe. So why they created it? For two reasons. For centuries, the white European countries did massacres to the Jews, and they kicked them from place to place. And until early 20th century, they called it the Jewish problem. You can read any history book. It says the Jewish problem. So it came to their mind, the early Zionists. They are not Jews, the early Zionists, by the way. They are Christians. Like Lord Balfour of Great Britain. He's not Jewish, but he's Zionist. They thought of solution that they couldn't do themselves. The solution that the European countries, Great Britain was mandating occupying Palestine. Before them, 100 years earlier, Napoleon himself, the French, came to occupy Palestine. And before them, another European countries again and again, because they want Palestine. It's the heart of the world, it's the center. Their mentality, no imperial power can be imperial until you take Jerusalem, and this mentality. They use the Jews to solve those problems. Solve that we don't have a Jewish problem. Because who killed the Jews? A lot of people, they say, oh, they are in Palestine because of the Holocaust. The idea of Israel, it goes back to 1896, 1897 in Paris, Switzerland. This is the creation. And Palestine wasn't the only country for solving that problem. Uganda, Argentina, just name it. Everybody was throwing a country. So Palestine was to get rid of or solve the Jewish problem, and it's not out of love. We know the European. We know the white European. They never loved anybody, and they never liked anybody, and they don't like anybody. And they don't care if the Jews get killed now. So to create a Western entity on the heart of the Arab war, the Muslim war, and making sure that it will continue to be divided. And every time they see the power of the Middle East, let's divide it again. And they are doing it. So for United States, why they are doing it as a government is investment. For them, selling weapons, keeping the oil coming, keeping control of the navigation, 70% of the water controlled by United States. And now they are thinking if they take Gaza, they can open Ben Gurion Channel, which is alternative to Suez Canal, with the canal. So it's always capitalism, imperialism, and money. And the first two wars, I try my best not to use them in any talk. But your country, your administration, if it's Democrat or Republican, they are greedy and they are after the money. They don't care about a human being, and believe me, they don't care about the safety of the Jews. And what they did in the Holocaust, of course, is unethical. But I want to remind you, the most liberal president, Roosevelt, he kicked the Jewish refugees ships from New York Harbor. So don't forget that. Don't make it like you are protecting the Jews. Two, never been religious war between us and our Jewish siblings. Never. And we don't accept it. Our war is with the Zionist movement. And the Zionist movement, a lot of people, they think AIPAC are the main lobby here, the American-Israeli pact. But actually, it's the Christian Zionists are the power on this game. And they are the most anti-Semitic of all. So let's be careful about it.
You speak of trying to pass some resolutions in our local councils. Recently, you've had some issues with the Burlington Council, but that if you just review the history of that, which was very unfortunate, I guess, because you had the signatures to put it on the ballot, but the commission, for the first time in history, returned. Pastor Dan.
Yeah, for 2 years in a row, we collected more than 5% of the registered voters in Burlington. And when we say that, we collected thousands of signatures. And when we put it in front of the council, even though Vermont Charter and Burlington City Charter, they should put the question I just read in front of you to the public to vote on. The council, again, mainly the Democratic Party council members, because I have to give credit to the progressive. The Democratic Party member in the council, they rejected again and again under the pressure of a newly created lobby called Shalom Alliance, which has nothing to do close to Shalom. And this organization, they were against the democratic process, and that's why they rejected, and we didn't succeed to put it to Burlington voters. But on another hand, when we put it on Winooski, we won 72%. When we took it to Thetford, it's over 70%. And we have here my friend Duncan, who worked on Thetford, took it to Brattleboro, 57%. So we can win. The people are with us, but we need to do the work. A lot of people, they think it's hard. A lot of people, they think their neighbors, if they're going to be called anti-Semitic. But anti-Semitic, it will be watered down, the understanding, if we're going to keep using it just because we reject Palestine and we reject free Palestine and we reject the Palestinians. and we have to fight anti-Semitism, but you have to be careful how to use the wording of anti-Semitism, because it doesn't mean what it's supposed to mean.
I don't have any more questions. Have you said what you want to say? Should I open the floor to questions?
Yeah.
So please raise your hand if you have a question. And limit yourself to questions, anything you'd like Wafik to speak to. I can't see everybody's hand going up. Does anybody have a question for Wafik? I guess you've been very persuasive. So. Oh, way back, sorry. Question, can you just speak up? Yes.
A video recently surfaced of news brief dock workers union shutting down the harbor and stopping our ships from leaving. My question is, have you been in touch with unions? Are they doing it?
Oh.
I haven't seen anything from my standpoint. I'm not exactly into what the unions are doing, but it seems like in other countries, unions are the leadership we look to. So if we have, we got how many millions? 6 million, 7 million, some people said 13 million people came out on No Kings Day. Why did none of those people go to the ports and the warehouses? Why were they stuck in the park? Just blowing smoke up each other's asses and then go to homes and alive and nothing changed. So I'm wondering, where's the leadership coming from and not from tiny little groups of people? The same groups of activists were getting beat down in every city and have been for the last 2 decades. Where's the leadership coming from? Why aren't we going to stop the supply lines like they are in other countries?
I think what Wafik is what he is alluding to, the closing down some of the harbors. I think Marseille is one of them. With
West Coast.
In the West Coast too, and who's leading that? And I guess you might say, why aren't we doing more of that, and why are we limited?
Why aren't the unions leading us to the harbors?
Yeah, do you have any relationship to unions?
We have some understanding. A lot of people, they consider the Palestinian movement as leftist movement, but actually the unions are not up to support Palestinian. And we asked that question for years and years. The unions are interest group too, so many of the bosses are controlled by money and an outside influence. We have locally in Burlington area, like Howard Center, the union there, and other at least, or UVM, Labor for Palestine, and others. We wish for more, We wish to be welcome to and to talk to them, but a lot of an outside influence. Two, I have to say, even though the union in my heart, and I wish we can work with them, you have to understand, Palestine is not left and right anymore. I'm listening recently to Fox News fascists. They are standing with Palestine when we see the congresswoman from New York going the other way. So it's not left and right, and we have to be careful about it when we work about Palestine. It is not Republican and Democrat, Both parties help to commit genocide in Palestine. The excuse from Kamala Harris, unfortunately, I'm calling Israel to stop the war in Gaza. Every Israeli official said, not one single official from the Democratic Party called us to stop the war. So the American official, that's why I'm saying Congress, President, etc. It's not like Biden was better than Trump. No. For the demonstration you mentioned, 50501, we pushed them to accept us. And now when we go in solidarity, let's say, with our migrant justice or any racial issue, etc. If we carry Palestinian sign and Palestinian flag, a lot of people sometimes they think they come to us and say, oh, this is not time to come in front of the immigration or ICE's office with Palestinian flag. So progressive except Palestine is liberal American thing, you know, selective, where they want the justice and where they're going to close their eyes. It's hard, but sooner or later they're going to open their eyes because it's hurting American family. When we talk about the amount of money going over there, you can solve your healthcare problem, the housing problems, the addiction problem that you walk on a city like Burlington, you know, homeless in every corner. Is this fair? When, if you are an Israeli or if you are a Jewish and you leave tonight to Israel, housing zero interest, immediately you will have automatic health care for life and education through college is free. So how is that working over there and they need American money at the same time, but we cannot solve our problems here. We cannot push our government, local state government and our congresswoman and the 2 senators to stop that. They are part of the problem. So let's work together.
You mentioned this. When you mentioned the 2 senators and the representative from Vermont, it was my impression that most of them, all of them voted against financial aid, military aid. But you say it's not strong enough, or you think they should be doing more?
We have a problem believing that Bernie Sanders, which is I voted for him, and Becca, I voted for her. Bernie, he's against sending military and he voted against because he makes too that the war, the reason that the war is not ending because of a man called Netanyahu. He doesn't consider it that this is the policy of Israel since Ben Gurion. He doesn't see the massacres against Palestinians went from Ben Gurion to Golda Meir to Sharon to Rabin to every one of them. I mean, I can name massacre after massacre. Pantura. Deir Yassin. And believe me, we can name 103 attacks against the Jewish people since the 12th century because it's written. Some of them, it's not equal on how many people got killed to any of the massacres in Palestine. Any. I'm not saying Gaza. Any. Of course, we're going to learn about the Holocaust, but we have to remember other victims in the Holocaust. Disabled people, the gypsies and people of colors, the non-Aryan people. We have to remember it all. And we have to recognize all. This is how we are equal. No chosen people here. We are all equal. We are all equal. And we have to wake up about that. Nobody's special.
Do we have any other questions? Oh, a lot of questions. Yes.
Is there any breach in the power lock of AIPAC in Washington? Is there any chance for the pro-Palestinian movements to access political leverage in Washington or on the local level? Speaking of us now, is there a chance for us to solicit politicians that you know are more ready to hear?
Yes. What we are doing here on apartheid-free community, if we can change the state of Vermont, similar to South Africa. Because America was a pro-white South Africa. America and its government and Reagan was a pro-apartheid. He said, I will veto that. But when the people rubber stamped South Africa as an apartheid state, and the black churches played the biggest role on that, and the United States is the last Western country that called South Africa as an apartheid, the whole system all collapsed. To do similar to APAC, to talk to some representative, we don't have Arab countries, all of them are Zionist-led countries, so they are not going to help us in that. But I think through BDS and our movement as people on the street, and you heard yesterday that the French going to recognize state of Palestine, it's the pressure of the people on the streets, it's not the politicians. If you go to the politicians who got forced to do it, what they said a year ago, 14 months ago, they never mentioned, they refused to say genocide, occupation, apartheid, ethnic cleansing. They did it. Now it's changing. France changing. After France, other Western countries, Spain already. And of course, Ireland, I'm not going to. Ireland is on the heart.
Given that history that you just heard, what would he like to see as a solution, a long-term solution, sustainable, something that could actually happen? What would you like to see?
The solution was on the table for 30 years after Oslo Accord was two-state solution. And it's based on a Palestinian state on less than 24% of historical Palestine in West Bank, in Gaza, and East Jerusalem. For 5 years after the PLO signed the Oslo Accord, there was no military action against Israel. But for 5 years, the Israeli settlers on the West Bank, they went from 60 to hundreds of thousands. More lands have been taken, and all the debate about where is the Palestinian state going to be, have been taken. Now we have about 600, 700,000 settlers. And we have a government already, 3 days ago, they voted to annex West Bank. And we know Smotrich and Ben-Gvir and all the Israeli ministers calling to annex Gaza. And Trump too. So it's the same policy. I mean, Israel wouldn't survive 5 minutes if United States pressured it. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So your question is to the point. What is the solution? In my heart, the solution is very clear and simple. One state, democratic, secular, solution from the river to the sea.
I have a question, since you mentioned Ireland, right? So, United States is the largest trading partner with Israel. The second largest trading partner is Ireland. So, how much of Ireland's speech is hollow words? And because the trade hasn't stopped, they've said what they have to say for the last 15, 16 months, but they haven't stopped trade. In fact, the trade increased over the last year or so with Israel. So, I'm kind of disillusioned at this point of time that politicians tend to say certain things, but they don't act upon it. So I'm not sure how that's actually, Ireland's speech is changing anything on the ground.
So what's your question to?
So I'm not sure, like, how do we reconcile the fact that Ireland is saying X, Y, Z, pro-Palestinian stuff, but the trade with Israel has increased over and over again over the last year? They're the second largest trading partner with Israel.
You're talking about Ireland?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. He's saying that Ireland is very much pro-Israel, pro-Palestine, but their trade has increased with Israel.
There is certain products now, it's in the media, like what kind of product goes, but the ambassador left, a lot of the pressure, political statements. Of course, some of it is empty promises, at one point. And in the United States or the rest, we don't trust every politician what they are promising us. The Palestinians, we are 77 years on this, so we know what's happening, and that's why we are getting slaughtered silently. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to lose the hope. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to lose the trust of the people in this room that they're going to do something. We're going to force our local government here, to reject this kind of policy and politics. And when many state members of the House and Senate here in Montpellier, we're going to force them to sign to it. The moment that kind of a change, where the street and the people are changing, this is the belief of we are the people and we can change, and we can keep our open eyes to what's happening. Yes, they are discriminating against the Palestinian Solidarity Group. Yes, they are putting many of us on jail. Yes, they're going to take citizenship from people like me, it's very possible at any moment. But it doesn't mean that America is one way and is not ready to change. I go to the streets and collect signatures for apartheid-free community. 8 out of 10 they sign. Many of them, they say, I am a Jewish and I'm against what Israel is doing to your people. I have hope, and I cannot lose my hope, and things going to change.
We're running out of time, so I'll take one more question, and I'm sure that if you have questions after that, Wafiq will be around and he'll answer them. Yes? Yeah?
Supposing that you're in a demonstration with invisibles against the autocracy upon us, or writing a letter to the paper about the Palestinian situation, what words would you use to show the connection between the approaching autocracy here and the Palestinian situation? What's the connection?
Yeah, I'm going to say, please listen to me what I'm going to say about the Indivisible. Indivisible is an organization organized when Trump administration was on first time they voted for. They took off when Trump, as if Biden administration were good on many questions, which is, we saw what Biden, if he was president, I don't know. But Indivisible came in back, Trump came back as if like Satan came back. So they are usually liberals, leaning Democrats. They don't care about issue like Palestine. So when we contacted them to include us on April 5th demonstrations in Montpellier, they rejected. But we invited ourselves and we came with our flags and we came with our signs and we came with our signs. It's very simple. To that next part of your question, relate the struggle you are doing. You are saying no to cutting the health care, the Medicaid, no cutting for education, no cutting for services, for people with a special need. Well, you have the money, go into Israel, bring it back. Relate this subject with this subject. You know, it's your money after all. So it's very simple. And tell the people who are indivisible to learn more about our connection as a struggle. Because us, the Palestinians, we never believe we're going to be liberated until everybody is liberated. The collective liberation is in our heart. And now we are in the center of the liberation movement. We are today is the civil rights movement of yesterday. And we will never, 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 never be free until our black people here are free. Our black and brown people are free. We will never be free until our migrants here in the state of Vermont are safe. And I will tell you something. You have to learn about what's happening to our migrants over here. It's a fascist government we have here when we are picking up their leader one by one, you know, and they have to get less than minimum wage. This is the modern day slavery, believe me.
Wafiq began his speak introducing some of his newfound friends. And before we say goodbye to Wafiq, I just want Michelle Samsour, who's responsible for creating these wonderful pictures on the wall, if she'd stand up and if she'd want to come say a few words up here.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Wafiq. And thank you so much, Lonnie, for hosting this event and for your generosity. Just a couple of words. My father was Palestinian, and I've been working on a series about Palestine for the past almost 10. I've been working on a series about Palestine for about the past 10 years. My father was Palestinian. And the work that you see on the walls is a way that I attempted to celebrate Palestinian culture, but also to critique Zionism. So all of the images are the result of mapping Israel, the West Bank, Gaza, Jerusalem, and some of the settlements, and mirroring them and using those images as well as the negative shapes that result from the mirroring in the images, sort of creating a closed circle where for Palestinians it's very difficult to live there and very difficult to leave. So it's a way of honoring my father, honoring the vitality and the beauty of the Palestinians and Palestinian craft. And just one more thing about it, I always talk about the fact that when I was a child, I asked my father where he was from, where that side of the family was from, and he brought me over to the globe and he pointed out Israel to me. And I remember saying, well, you know, how is this possible if we're Palestinians? Where is Palestine? So the series started out as my calling it Looking for Palestine. I changed it to Borders and Boundaries because these issues that we're dealing with Palestine are endemic around the world, but still important and personally important to me, and as we all feel now with the horrors of what's going on in Gaza, important to really to speak about, to celebrate, but also to critique. So I hope you enjoy the work, but I also hope that it encourages some reflection about what is going on over there now. And welcome, a special welcome to our guests from Palestine. Thank you.
Let's have a big hand for Wafiq. Thank you for coming.